Have you ever been asked if you are in tune with your body? Have you ever tuned an instrument or been around for somebody who is, maybe before a concert or trying to make sure someone's instrument is up to snuff and on the right track? Well, I want to talk a little bit about being in tune today on the Cultivating Calmness podcast. So thank you for joining me. The reason I am bringing this up, and I often bring topics up in here, is just because things tend to come up in the sessions I have with people or in my own life or just patterns that may be happening. And this one happened recently, and just, wanting to talk about whether you are in tune with your body. So I start out by talking about instruments. Instruments, people tend to tune them. I don't play an instrument. I used to play the piano when I was little. I can still play, the very few notes and easy songs from memory. But other than that, no, I don't play an instrument anymore. I used to sing, for choir, both in high school and college. And fun fact, I did do an opera in college with some friends and at the time, my vocal coach. So that was fun. But haven't done anything like that since basically college, other than, if you count singing in the shower or in the car and, where just myself can hear it. Uh, um, but even then you're doing tuning, you're trying to hit the right notes, get the right frequencies, harmonize with other people, to make sure that the sound that you're hearing is the correct sound. So, um, you know, when you do that with an instrument, sometimes it's pretty obvious what is correct and what is incorrect, especially if you know music. If you don't really know music, if you're not in that world, you may not be as attuned to what is correct and what is incorrect. But oftentimes, if you are ever at a concert and something happens, right? Even if it's the feedback that comes from a microphone where it's gets really loud, everybody kind of goes, "Ugh," right? Because we all know that's not correct. And oftentimes you may hear certain notes or certain things be out of tune and your ear just goes, you're like, okay, that's not correct. Maybe you don't know why. Maybe you don't know why it's not correct. You just know like that doesn't sound or feel right. Well, your body and your brain can do that too. Some people are very in tune with their bodies and or even the people around them. Maybe that's your kids, your spouse, your friends, because you know them so well. And other time, but oftentimes, we can become, not in tune with our bodies, and we can become kind of like dissonant and fight against what is maybe happening. And there are many explanations and reasons for that. But being in tune with your body does often take time. And it takes patience with yourself, and it takes, getting to know you. So a lot of times we tend to maybe run from those things. They're scary, or we're just busy, and so we bury them. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for this headache. I don't have time for this pain. I don't have time, and so we, push it away. Sometimes there's other, explanations or reasons why we maybe push through or push away the different things that we are experiencing. And sometimes that makes things worse. When we are in tune, I can say for myself, I say it's always a work in progress. Oh, my nose itches. I would say that it's always a work in progress, but, um, you know, when you start to make changes is often when you notice the things that were or are happening to you. For me, the biggest thing is like with eating certain things. When I've gotten rid of certain things that, are knowingly not good. We'll just use soda. I've talked about that on here before. I don't drink a lot of pop soda anymore, at least the traditional kinds, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, those were, my favorites. I had my favorites and they're delicious. And on occasion I will have some now. But I definitely usually can't tolerate like a whole lot of it because I can feel it immediately. But when I was drinking it all the time, do you think I could feel or notice what it was doing to me or how it really felt? No, I couldn't. I tasted good. It felt good. You got maybe energized. Um, and maybe part of that's to do with, like, age and where I am, but I would say that a lot of it has to do with healing. My husband has been, the same way. I think I stopped drinking soda before he stopped really drinking, the traditional sodas, the mainstream sodas, and, when he stopped, I think he noticed it as well, transition into more of the healthier sodas, especially, like, the sodas that have way less sugar. So, I'm just guessing on the numbers here. I think Coca-Cola has like 30 some grams of sugar in a 12-ounce can. You can get a Poppy or a Bloom, or there's other brands out there now, but those are a couple that come to mind, a couple that I've had that have like 3 to 5 grams of sugar in a 12-ounce can. So way less sugar. When you're making that transition, if you had a Coke and you had a Bloom, a cherry Coke and uh, I think a Poppy has a cherry Coke version. They would taste very different, and you probably wouldn't like the Poppy version because the sweetness is not the same. It's very different. But if you've gotten rid of the Coke products and you've like gotten rid of so much sugar in your life, and then you have like the Poppy versions, those will actually start to taste better. In my experience, they start to taste better. There were the ones that didn't have any sugar in them that use stevia. I'm forgetting the Zevia, I think is the brand. And La Croix. I still not a huge fan of La Croix, if that's even how you say it. I don't know how you say it. Um, but when I would have like try a La Croix when I was drinking, mainstream sodas, it was disgusting. But as I transitioned out of that, like I can have one. They're just I don't like the taste or flavor. But I also could also then start to tolerate the Zevias because I wasn't so used to the other stuff anymore. So it's a transition and your body gets used to things. So you're used to whether it's food, or maybe it's a situation in life. I've had this with my clients, I see this all the time. We get comfortable with the discomfort. So the known is better than the unknown. I actually saw something come across my social media feed. I may or may not have shared it. I can't remember, but it was a guy who wrote I think it was a poem of sorts, and he basically was saying that, right? Like going to see somebody, going to get help was actually scarier, more scary than just staying where you're at in this pain, because this pain that I'm in, no matter the circumstance, whatever that circumstance is for you, you fill it in, um, is the known. I know what this is. I know how to handle this. I know how to navigate all the intricacies of this difficult situation. That over there, going to get help, asking for help, seeking help, change. I don't know what that is. That is scary. And I don't wanna put myself out there. I don't wanna go over there and get that help. I don't wanna make changes because that is unknown. At least I know what's going on here. I don't know what's gonna happen if I take that leap and I go over there. That's scary. That's also part of, like, being attuned, am I attuned to myself and my situation? Am I aware enough to be able to recognize, like, yes, that is scary, but that's also gonna be better for me. Once I make that transition, if I do take that leap, then once I get settled in that, I'm able to look back and see, like how bad the situation I was in was. That's what I've seen, in making changes. You think you feel fine, you think you're okay, and then you get to a new place, um, a new level, right? A new goalpost, I guess. And you're like, oh, like I feel different. That over there, that felt bad. Now that I'm now that I'm making the connection, because you're now able to your body's able to relax. You're out of, maybe it's fight or flight, maybe it's just the inflammation and the stress on your body, because you're now able to become more attuned. Healing, I think, allows you to become more in tune with your body and with your needs, with your family, with like what is going on around you. How do we get there? Sometimes it is taking those difficult steps. Sometimes it is being able to look at where you're at and being like, I don't like this and this is bad, but that's scary. But which is scarier, staying here or going over there? Staying here and not making any changes, and maybe it means I don't live as long. Maybe it means I have other problems because I'm staying here. Maybe it means that I have a lifetime of, you know, dissatisfaction, unhappiness, pain, fill in the blank with your circumstance. Or maybe it means that's unknown, but that is likely better than this is. Or, hey, it may be hard to go over there right now. Maybe it's a divorce. Maybe it's a lifestyle change. Maybe it's dropping bad um things from your life, whether that's a relationship of some kind, maybe that's a habit, social media, maybe it's a food of some kind. Maybe it's starting something healthier and better, even though that is scary and we don't know what that is. But when we do it, it has the potential to be better and make us better. And then we also then have the potential to be more in tune with ourselves and the world around us. So being in tune comes, I think, with time and energy and patience with ourselves and with the world around us, but also, but mostly, I mean, mostly with yourself. Being in tune does take patience. Ask any person with an instrument, tuning their instrument, practicing their instrument, getting it to be just right. Even if that instrument is their voice, it takes time and it takes practice and it doesn't happen overnight. And even, every time they pick up the instrument, they have to make sure it is tuned correctly so that they are playing the songs correctly. Same thing with you. Every time you wake up, you have to remember, hey, I'm going down this path and not that path anymore. Oh, I'm not going to drink those things. I'm going to drink these things. Oh, I'm not going to eat those things. I'm going to eat these things. Oh, I'm not going to talk to those people. I'm going to talk to these people. I'm not going to partake in that habit. I'm going to do this habit. That's being able to allow yourself to continue to stay in tune with yourself, just like you might an instrument. So just my little thoughts today. Take that for what you will. Think about whether you are in tune with your body and yourself, or if maybe there are things that you could be more in tune with. Oh, and that makes me think about, when you go like to a doctor, when you go to see somebody again, you. And so when a doctor or somebody is telling you like, that's not right, that doesn't happen, no, that's not possible, et cetera, et cetera. If you know it's happening to you, it's okay to press. It's okay to, know more than, the doctor or the provider knows, because you often know what's happening with you better than they do. And so being in tune will help you with that and help you to know kind of what's going on and to trust your gut. That's also part of being in tune with who you are, and what's going on within you. So again, take that for what you will. I hope you enjoyed today. I will see you again next week. Have a wonderful rest of your week as we near the end of summer and start of school for those people who have kids in school. It is almost school time. So thanks again. See you again next week.